Nice wave. You can see Gugu is still in the Valentine spirit, our red and white. Today is actually Singles Awareness Day. So if you got kicked to the curb in the last couple of hours because you didn't bring a Valentine's present, Gugu is still representing you by what she's wearing. Gugu, welcome. We're going to hear from you shortly. And we also have Nhlamulo Hlongwane, who is the appeals officer in the office of the Vice Rector Academic. Welcome with us. Also a very familiar face. And I think this is family. Welcome to our audience. Please welcome our audience by just waving. We're also going to get to speak to you. I see you're not representing any colors today. You are very, very neutral, almost like the weather outside.
I'm from a men's conference.
So I'm not going to say much about that. But ladies and gentlemen, today, because it is the final webinar, we were and registration might be ending soon. We just want to make sure that before that process comes to an end, we still give you information that's relevant and that will help you finalize this key step in your academic journey as our senior students. I know we do have first-time entering students also on our platform. You are also welcome. The more the merrier. At Secure the Grad, we say, shoot your shot and come sit with us. Now, for those of you who are new to our platform, you might be wondering, what are we about and why do we host these webinars? For us, Secure the Grad is here to make sure that we centralize information that is key to senior students, both for internal stakeholders. So what are the services that will support you in your academic journey, as well as your co-curricular journey at the University of the Free State, with the aim of you securing that grad and securing the bag at the same time. We want to make sure that our students at this institution are well integrated and well versed with what is happening, what they should be doing, and what the institution is up to in helping them in this journey. What we do is we have conversations with stakeholders, such as advising and the appeals office today, to bring you the latest news, but also to help you answer questions that you might have uncertainties about. Furthermore, we want to make sure that you have a sense of belonging at this institution, that you feel cared for and that you're not alone, and make sure that you are well networked so that when you leave this institution, that your network is quite strong. So quickly jumping to our ground rules now that we have that sorted and you know why you're here. For our ground rules, you will notice that for technicality purposes and also for a good webinar experience, your microphones as well as your cameras have been deactivated and put on mute. So please remember also, we will be running polls throughout. What is a poll? There where you select yes or no, or you select I like it or I don't like it. We will be running polls throughout our webinar today. It's a new feature that we've included because we want to make sure that we catch your sentiment as we go along. Now, if you see the webinar or the webinar poll rather pop up on your screen, it will pop up on the middle of your screen. Just select the option that that you agree with. We will be running about 2 or 3 polls throughout the duration. And also remember that our chat on the site is available for you. Should you have a burning question and you don't want to forget it, please use our chat function on the sidebar to make sure that we get your question. Our team in the background is noting your questions, and I will also be ensuring that I incorporate your questions as we go along. Today, we're not going to be speaking much. We're going to be hearing from you and answering your questions, as these are some of the final conversations that we have before the formal academic activities start, with the exception of the Faculty of Health Sciences, of course. What are we talking about today? We're speaking about access to the right registration information. We're also speaking about what are rules? When can I add modules? When I can drop modules? Can I change my qualification? What are those implications for me? What does the rule book of the university say about that? But more so, we're also going to be talking about the unfortunate, I call it unfortunate because it's not a nice thing to be in, academic appeals. Many of you have received your outcomes. Many of you are still pending your outcomes. Going to be speaking about what to do, when to do, which committee you need to be appealing to, and what processes come with that. And then last but not least, the funnest thing that we're going to do. We're also going to be giving away prizes towards the end. So stick with us till the end. We will be announcing our webinar winners. What must you do to win? Make sure that you engage with us, you ask those critical questions, and you engage with the audience while the conversations are ongoing. Our team in the background will be monitoring to make sure that we randomly pick the winners today, and we will be in contact with you. Now, let's get our conversation kick-started. I'm going to ask my audience to quickly do a reminder of who they are, reintroduce themselves, what is their role on campus for those of you who might be joining us for the first time. Gugu, let's start with you.
Thanks, Yvonne. Good afternoon again to the fellow students. I am a student too, while I am a staff member. I am Gugu Tireabone, as already introduced by Evodia. I am in the Center for Teaching and Learning, literally on all three campuses. So for a minute, you'll find me on South Campus. For another minute, you'll find me on the Godler campus. And for this minute, I am currently on the Bloemfontein campus. And my responsibilities are to head up the recognition of prior learning program that enables people that have prior work experience and other qualifications access into the university. I also head up the higher certificate program, which is, we know that it's students that have an AP score of between 18 and 24 that is offered on the South Campus and in our sub-regions. And then my heartbeat that I've been with the longest, my Valentine, is the academic advising program that I've been with for the last 12 years. But I lead these three programs with so much pride and so much enthusiasm because it enables not just access opportunities, but also grants people opportunities and support to succeed. Thank you for that, Yvonne, and I hope we will have a fruitful conversation and we can really bring some sun rays into this cloudy weather we're seeing in Bloemfontein, but also into the lives of students, that they too can kickstart the 2023 academic year on a good footing. Thank you.
That is good. We hear Gugu has my baby, my Valentine. So advising is clearly a Valentine. So Shamu, let's hear from you. Please reintroduce yourself to those who might be new to this platform, and welcome again.
All right, thank you. It's good to be back. This is home outside of this office that I'm in right now. My name is Nhlamulo like Kishongwani. Everybody calls me Pastor H, which is the name that I go by. I'm a residence head, but that's not what I'm here for. I am here from the office of the vice rector, responsible for for appeals. So you get excluded, you appeal in your faculty, and then your appeal gets rejected, and then it ends up here by our office. And then I'm also responsible for making sure that the SOP of the exclusion and the readmission cycle or processes is executed appropriately by everybody that is involved. So yeah, all right, thank you.
That is a good introduction. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not the one that uses the name Pastor H first, and that it is made official by the owner. Welcome with us, and I'm really excited to start our conversation. So to get us kick-started, Gugu, let me start off with you. What are the registration numbers looking like? How many seniors are currently registered at the University of the Free State?
I think if we have any student leaders in this group, that they would know very well what the numbers are looking like. But it's been a really, I want to say, turbulent but stable time that we've been experiencing, particularly because of NSFAS. Students did have challenges trying to register. The SMSs of Ingenile was not coming through. So I think there was very, very turbulent times that students started experiencing. But to date, we've really seen a pickup in our registration numbers, just generally for first-time entering students and our senior students. In terms of our senior students, I must first indicate that we've planned for about 34,000 students at the University of the Free State for this academic year, and I can comfortably say that we've registered about 59, almost 60% of our students to date, senior students. So about 40% remaining with 3 days. of registration, and I don't doubt that we'll be able to really meet that target because the Ingenile SMSs have been pulling through for the students. So we are confident that as NSFAS sends those SMSs, students are continuing to register, but also that the academic advisors are available in not just in the Centre for Teaching and Learning, but the curriculum advisors and the faculty have also been ensuring that we don't halt the processes of registration because we're waiting for NSFAS. So I think there's a very nice balance in terms of where we are, and I'm very confident sitting at 60% that we're looking good.
That is very hopeful. And I'm glad we started the conversation that way. Now, with the students that are currently registered, particularly senior students, I know sometimes we are, and I'm talking from a student experience myself, I just want to make sure that I secure my space, especially since some of them got disappointed last year. Some of the academic programs were full and they registered for this module and they realized, oh, I don't think this is a module I want to do. And maybe they've done their homework as we advised them to do in the previous webinar. Go check those faculty rule books, go understand what the module is about, speak to a senior who's already passed the module and understand what the module is about. So my question is therefore, for those who have now done their homework and are looking at their proof of registration and are uncertain about what's on their proof of registration, what can they do? Can students add or drop modules at this time?
Because the registration period or process is still open, students can add or drop modules between now and at least next Friday. But the big BUT word, there's a big caution, that exclamation mark, that don't just drop a module for the sake of dropping it. And don't compare your proof of registration to Evodia's proof of registration or to Pastor H's proof of registration. Go check against your faculty rulebook and double check whether those are modules you're supposed to be doing. The big thing is we all assume we're all doing a BCom, but we don't realize that we all have different specializations. And then we go and add and drop modules because Evodia has 10 modules, but I only have 8. So I just go and add for the sake of Evodia adding. And, senior students, we like advising each other. So the biggest main advisor that you need to consult, if it's not your curriculum advisor, which is the faculties, then please consult the 2023 faculty rulebook to double check what you're supposed to be registered for before you go and add and drop modules. If you add and drop modules between now and next Friday, it is really just your own prerogative. It is your responsibility. If you decide to do that, it is on you. The onus is on you. But I must also caution that for NSFAS funded students, that you need to register for all of the year's modules, both first and second semester modules now. And if you happen to drop anything, consider what that implication might be on your NSFAS funding. So short and sweet, yes, students can still add and drop modules, but don't do it because the other person did it. Do it because you have been well informed, you've consulted thoroughly, and you know why you are dropping the modules. So I hope that clarifies and gives students, a way of, getting a sense and a feel of where things are. But please, I want to caution, don't just add or drop modules for the sake of doing it, because it enlarges your credits, it enlarges the time you need to spend on your studies, and it will just increase your pressures as you move through. I know some of us are desperate to finish and secure the grad all in 1 year. So I want to do my second and third year modules all in one. You're not going to secure the grad if you're combining second and third year modules. Plan very carefully, get informed, and manage your qualification and the modules that you're registered for.
So I'm going to pick up the conversation on those second and third year modules. So we might have students in our audience or those who will be watching this recording saying, but I have failed my second year module and now I'm in my third year of studies. What are you saying? Should I not register at all for my third year modules and just finish the second year ones and only register in 2024? What about, so in summarizing my question, what about students who have failed the previous year modules? Can they still register them with the current year, and how do they go about that?
Sure, you can definitely do that, but also there may be two circumstances. So the one might be you failed the module for the first time last year because it wasn't a good year. So you can just go and consult your curriculum advisor, and that module will be added to you. They might not be able to add your third year module because of a prerequisite. What is a prerequisite? I did sociology 1, I did sociology 2, and I need to register sociology 3, but I failed sociology 2. And as a result, I can't go on to sociology 3 because sociology 2 is a prerequisite. So if I failed that sociology 2, I might just only be able to repeat sociology 2 and not take on sociology 3. But it's only the faculties and your rule book that can confirm that. So you need to very carefully check what are prerequisites and what are not prerequisites. So if it's a prerequisite, then unfortunately you won't be able to register both second and third year modules. But in some instances, the module is your minor or your elective, and you can then chop and change the module, and that you can gladly do. But again, I encourage you to consult with your rulebook or consult with your faculty to just double check that it won't jeopardize the number of credits you need to enroll for. So you might be dropping an elective that is 16 credits and taking up a different elective with only 8 credits, which means that you have an 8 credit deficit and therefore impacting the total number of credits you enroll. So it's important that you also consider at the back of your mind the credit that each module bears, especially if it is electives that you're dropping and adding as you progress. And then the third instance, sorry, that I didn't speak to, is sometimes you might have that module that you failed and you failed it for the third time, or you failed it twice already. Pastor H is going to tell you what to do. That's really on the other side of this scale, where as a result, then you would first need to appeal before you can register. But the two that I want to speak to is the one that has prerequisites or non-prerequisites and how that impacts in your curriculum. But that third instance requires an appeal, and Pastor H will definitely touch on what happens when you need to appeal to repeat that module for a third time.
I hope our audience is listening because, man, I thought I can just come in, don't like actuarial science or EBAS. I already see it's got 5 tests already when I look at the module guide, and I don't think I've got the appetite, therefore block them, delete them. I thought that's as easy as blocking someone on Instagram. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can hear, there are quite a lot of processes or steps you have to go through. It's not a lot, but it's critical steps that you have to go through. Consult your academic advisor in your faculty, consult the rule book. I know the rule book can be a bit tricky with all those module codes and names like prerequisite and names like credits, but please, if you don't understand, you can come and speak to an advisor, central advisor, to help you understand. Our first poll has just kicked in, so I'd like to encourage you to indicate, are you familiar with the rulebook? Yes, no, or you've never heard of a rulebook. You can make your selection now and submit the poll. While we're doing that, I'm going to shift the conversation a little bit, because Gugu, you spoke about, failing modules for the second or third time, and that sort of being a contravention of the rules, and that has particular consequences. Mr. H, let's then, based on that conversation or tagging onto that conversation rather, what are these implications, and do those implications or consequences bring students before the appeals committees?
Yes, they do. Thank you. When you fail in other faculties, if you fail a module, most especially a major module, and you have to repeat it you fail it the first time, you repeat it, then you fail it again, automatically they exclude you. Other faculties will just say, you're not excluded, you can still continue, but you just need to get special permission from the dean to repeat that module. And many times I need to make students understand that if the faculty did not academically exclude you, but they rejected the opportunity for you to do your second year modules and your third year module, the URRT does not get involved there. The faculty rule is as it is in those kind of cases. Because I've been getting a lot of cases where you find that students were not academically excluded, The exclusion was that you cannot do your second year and third year modules. First pass what you have failed for the second time, or even if it's for the first time, but because it's a prerequisite, you cannot continue. They'll say don't continue to the third year module, just repeat those ones first. Then in that case, it is handled at faculty level. You cannot appeal it anywhere. If the faculty says that's how you're going to progress, that is how you're going to progress. It's only in instances whereby you have not been allowed to do the module for the third time, and on top of that, you've been academically excluded. Then that's when you can go through the appeals processes where you go to appeal in your faculty through reg, and then if it is rejected, then you bring it up to the URRT, provided you've got grounds to prove that they did not properly consider your case. Awesome.
I want to take a step back, and I know we have discussed this in our first webinar, as well as the webinar last year, but I almost want to take us a step back in making our audience understand. So what are these two bodies that you appeal to? You've now spoken about the fact that a student can go back to their faculties, and some cases do not come to the URT, which is the readmission, University Readmissions Tribunal.
Review tribunal.
Review tribunal. So
Yes.
let's quickly unpack this for our audience. So
Okay.
when do I go and appeal to the faculty, and what is their role? And when do I go appeal to the URRT, and what is their role?
All right. With the faculty, it's REC, Readmission Appeals Committee of the faculty. And then when you are excluded for whatever reason that you're excluded for academically, not financial exclusion, not NSFAS exclusion, if there's such a thing, but academic exclusion, meaning that you cannot progress or proceed with your studies because of your academic performance. You did not meet the progression rules that are indicated in the faculty rules that Ms. G has been talking about. Then you will appeal there to say, look, I had this issue. That is why I could not perform. Give me another opportunity. This is my promise. You know that love letter that we spoke about in the previous webinar. This is the reasons why I could not perform. Now I want to come back. These are the changes that I'm going to implement. Then when they now reject you, that is when you can look at the rejection letter. It has an outcome. I mean, the outcome has reasons why they did not approve your appeal. So there are three things that you must look for when you're reading that outcome letter. Was there a procedural irregularity? Meaning the reasons they gave, if they give a rule, for example, a general rule that you are against this general rule, is my condition really speaking into that particular rule, number one? Or number two, did they properly consider the evidence that I submitted? Or did they just brush over it? Or number three, you just feel like, look, you still have the probability of continuing to study and finish your qualification within the residential period, but you feel like the faculty did not pay proper attention or proper consideration to that. Then if you can tick any of these that I've mentioned, you can say, okay, because of this, I am going to take it further up to the URRT. And that is the mistake that many students make. It's just that, okay, it has been rejected. Now I'm going to take it to the URRT. You need to tick these things that I've mentioned that, okay, does mine fall in any of these, And also I don't like to say the rejection letter, in the rec outcome letter, at the bottom, it is stipulated, what is it that you should send to the URRT and the basis in which you should send those to the URRT. Then when you can tick those boxes, then you bring it up to the URRT. You can never serve before the URRT until you have served before REC, because the URRT needs that REC outcome letter to see this student is sitting in front of us because the faculty rejected them based on the following reasons. And they're going to look at the reasons given by REC They're going to look at your motivation, and they're going to look at the evidence that you have provided, and also your overall academic performance and your probability of finishing your degree within the residential period. Then that is when they're going to consider your case.
That is very helpful. I want to find out, is there a possibility that a student that has submitted their appeal to RAC, and that's the faculty committee, according to my understanding, is there a possibility that students will not receive their outcomes?
No, there is no that possibility. The thing is, like I said previously, it might not serve on the date it was supposed to serve, to serve in another meeting, you know. And each and every faculty is that when you send your application, there is communication that comes to say they have received it, and you must expect an outcome after so many days. And if as a student you send your appeal and then after 7 days you've not heard anything, it is within your right to make a follow-up, I submitted on this date. I was expecting an outcome after this long. How far is the process at the moment? And also giving faculties an opportunity during this time of the year. I know that students are up in arms, but also they must understand that most of these processes, they're not automated. It's humans that have to consider, that have to sit. There are other registration processes taking place as well. So also just to have that patience and to give that time, for the faculty to get back to them. I always say that definitely by the time registration closes or classes starts, you would have received your outcome. Unless if there is an extension of the appeals or the URRT, of which that will be communicated to those that would have applied. But there is no such thing that I applied and I never got an outcome. Another thing, you might find that you are expecting to get an outcome on your Gmail account, but the outcome is sent on the student email account. There's also that other confusion that takes place within students. Yeah.
That makes it very clear for us. Remember, as students, if you're not aware, you do have your at UFS account, student email account. Remember, it is your student number at UFS for life, for those of us who are old, but for the newer generation, it's your student number at ufs.ac.za. Remember to go check your email, clean that email account, because remember, if your email inbox is full, you will not receive any new information that comes in, and therefore your email bounces back, and that is not the sender's responsibility to get a hold of you, but rather your responsibility to make sure, as Pastor H said, that you follow up. And if you see the emails are not coming through, to go empty that mailbox. For those of you who are here, clearly you read your email about hashtag secure the grad webinar and you are on the good path. Please go be advocates to the rest of the student community about good student habits such as reading email. Thank you for that information. So Pastor H, before we move away, I want to maybe ask, there has been outcomes that faculties have been releasing in these last couple of weeks. The URT in itself has been releasing a few outcomes to the students. What are trends, the most popular trends that you have picked up from these outcomes?
Trends in terms of the good, the bad, what
So
kind of
let's
the
start with the positive trends. What are
yeah.
positive trends that we're seeing, but also what are those negative trends that we've also picking up?
Yeah, on the positive side, it's mostly an application that is properly uh, put together. That person sat down with a grocery list, to tick. I've got my cool beans. Yes, I've got them. They need tomato sauce. I've got my tomato sauce. They did not just put things in a plastic bag and say they will see it at the till. So they sat down. They did their motivation properly, and everything that they outlined in the motivation speaks into the evidence, speaks into the academic record, speaks into the experiences that they are they are alluding to in their motivation, and then the evidence it's there. It is real. It is not fabricated. It is not faked. You know, there is and I just want to warn the students. You know, there is a certain medical certificate that is making the rounds. You know, within the student population. Um, the URRT, some faculties, when they see that medical certificate, they outright reject your application straight away. You know, but the URRT is okay. We're gonna put this medical certificate aside. Let us look at the other evidence that is there. Let us look at the students' academic performance. If it is good enough, they will bring you back. But you must know that once you register, you are going to be investigated for that medical certificate. And now we are speaking of disciplinary hearings, having to account where it comes from, and so on and so forth. So students should avoid doing that. So now on the bed, it's definitely a motivation where it's just, it is not straightforward. Number one. Number two, your academic record, outside of the evidence that is there or not there, your academic record does not motivate for itself. You know, I mean, if you had 3 good years and then you had 1 bad year and the faculty chucked you out, the URRT will definitely look at the 3 good years and say, look, it is clear as just 1 bad year. Understand? So the bad one is there was no proper checklist. They just sent an appeal because someone said that you can take it up to the URRT. There's no argument to to why the outcome of REC should be mitigated. So yeah.
That is clear. I see a lot of questions coming in from our audience. It is noted. Today we'll have our Q&A segment quite earlier than anticipated so that we exhaust this platform. So Pastor H spoke about the second chance, or some people a third chance, that they are afforded by the appeals committees, whether it's in the faculty or the review tribunal. So Gugu, with that type of information, if let's say, Thabo has now received the appeal with conditions to say, we are giving you another chance, Thabo. Go and do these modules. You've got these conditions to meet in order for you to successfully continue at this institution. And Thabo decides, accounting was a huge stumbling block for me. I don't think I have the stamina nor motivation to do accounting. I want to secure this grad end of this year. I want to go work next year. Can Thabo change their qualification?
Funny enough, I actually responded to one in the chat, a similar case to Thabo. So I think there's also 2 instances here. So there's an instance where you've appealed to your faculty and you deciding, okay, Faculty of Humanities have said, okay, you can come back and get another chance, but actually you want to go and move into education. In such an instance, unfortunately, you would need to reapply for 2024. So what that would mean is, because your appeal is granted in the Faculty of the Humanities, you may continue to study in the Faculty of the Humanities in 2023, but your appeal from the Humanities cannot be transferred over to the Faculty of Education, and it doesn't mean there's an application already for you. So unfortunately for 2023, you would need to continue with that. And then when applications open for the 2024 academic year, then you apply for a B.Ed in Foundation, Intermediate or Senior and FET phase. And then based on your performance previously, the Faculty of Education will evaluate whether they want to consider you. And based on that evaluation, they might select you for the 2024 academic year. In some instances, in another instance, you might be granted an appeal in the Faculty of the Humanities and you want to change from a BA qualification to a B social science qualification. That is also a bit of a tricky one because of the modules and the subjects, the majors and the minors in the differing majors and minors in the 2 programs. So again, there you would need to go and sit with your faculty advisor to discuss what the feasibility is. In some instances, the faculties might say, because it's within the faculty, that's okay. For instance, the BSc programs, they might say you were doing genetics and physiology and you want to move to microbiology and chemistry. You have a few of the biochemistry, so that is a smoother transition. So because it's an inter-faculty program change, then they would permit it. But again, I want to say you need to sit down with your faculty, because there's these nuances, this small little rules that you don't understand and you might miss out. Sometimes, and stipulated in the general rules recently, you can only change your degree once, and that is at the end of your first year. So sometimes if you've actually gotten into your second, third year and you want to change your degree, the general rule might prohibit you from doing that. So it's important that you go and find out from the faculty you're interested in moving to. I know a lot of health sciences students, weren't selected for medicine in their first year in 2021. In 2021, they did a BSc. In 2022, they did a BSc, and now they're in their second year of their BSc, and they want to now move into education, for instance. Sometimes a change of degree might not be permissible, or they might say you need to apply for the next intake. So it's a very tricky one that you need to balance. But again, like I say, just walk into any of the faculties or visit any of the CTL central advising offices, and we can really clarify that and explain to you what is the relevant instance in your case.
So you've mentioned general rules as well there. So if Tabo is in their third year of study, and they were registered for a 3-year degree, so their degree is a 3-year degree, they're in their third year of study, what are things they need to consider if they were to change, especially thinking about the progression rules of the institution? We know that there's that N+1, N+2. What do those rules say? Or why should students consider that? And what are the implications for changing degrees now in your third year of study if you're registered for a 3-year degree?
I think before I even get to the university rules, because so many of our students are funded by NSFAS, I think you need to first consult NSFAS, because in some instances, NSFAS funds you for one qualification per their agreement. And if you change, they're going to consider and extend it. So if I'm already in my third year and they're funding me for a 3-year degree, their N+1 will end next year. So I need to remember and take into cognizance that the next year that I might need to register in 2025, I might not have funding. So that for me is the first sacrosanct thing to do as a student. Consult your funding opportunities. Find out if the NSFAS agreement and the time that it would take for you to swap and complete the other degree would afford you that opportunity. And then when it comes to changing degrees internally and looking at the general rules, then you can look at that, because then in some instances, they'll be able to credit you for some of the modules you've completed as recognition. But not all modules have equivalents in another faculty. So I might do CSIL in the humanities, or let me take a higher certificate example. There's higher certificate students that are sitting in the regions, so Muteo, Welkom, Sasolburg, and they do CSIL, which is a semester module. But when they come for those students that are doing the program on the Bloemfontein campus, they do it over a year module. So that means there's a differentiation of year versus semester module. So you can't just transfer and say, I want to substitute that for that. So you need to check very carefully whether it aligns and the recognitions are permissible. In some instances, recognitions are permissible, but in many instances not. So maybe your academic literacy module is you did EALT and you want to do EALH 2508. They might say to you, we'll take a portion of that. There's always just in some instances a workaround, but it is very important to understand what the extension of your studies will be. And then also consider your funding, because I think at the core of it is your funding opportunities. But in terms of N+1, the university does allow you an extra 2 years to be able to do your qualification in the instance that you failed or something didn't go right. But if you take a break from your studies for a year, then it's almost a reapplication for the next year. So if you don't study in 2023, so you study in 2022, you decide not to study in 2023 and you want to continue in 2024, you would need to apply for 2024 in this year for next year. So very, very tricky. And as I say, you need to consult. And remember, modules have a lifespan. They have a shelf life. So in some instances, a module you did 3 years ago might not exist in 5 years' time. So you need to ensure that you know whether that module will give you that recognition, because the shelf life of that module has expired. So very tricky, very long-winded, but I think at the core of it, you need to consider your funding.
It might be tricky, but that's why we here at Secure the Grad, to make sure that we share with you the tips and tricks around these very sticky and sometimes tricky situations. Now, I think we've covered the basics and very critical components of the questions around registrations as well as appeals. And I'm going to, if it's okay with both of you, jump straight into our question and answer segment at this moment. I'm going to quickly maybe start off by reading some of the questions that have come in from our chat. And for our audience, you can also prepare yourself by raising your virtual hand, and that you will find on the top bar of Microsoft Teams. If you're using your mobile phone, your mobile device, it will be at the bottom bar of the app. Our second poll has also kicked off right now, and we are asking you, are you aware of the academic advising services at the institution? Yes or no, and then you can submit. We'd like to hear from you. While we're getting your answers regarding the poll, quickly want to read a question from Jared. Jared says, hi, I did a higher certificate in EMS and I was academically excluded. So I did appeal and did not receive any information until I saw my academic summary that I was denied. I then spoke to the loads of people. Mistake number one, Jared, mistake of people, to help even my rugby coaches as I play for the Shimla Young Guns. Congratulations on that. A comment was added yesterday saying that the RAC withdrew from the appeal. What does that mean? And what can I do? Pastor H, I think this one is for you.
All right, thank you. When it says that REC withdrew, it means that you're no longer excluded. You can continue with your studies. But as Google always says, consult, consult, consult. Just go to the faculty to say, is this how I understand it? So that you can be sure if you can now pay your registration fee and go on to register. But if it says that the faculty withdrew, it means that basically they withdrew your exclusion, so you can continue with your studies. Yeah.
Short and sweet. You shall be invited back, Pastor H. Sihle says, I'm trying to register for my final year modules, and I couldn't add all my modules last year, first semester. I want to register this year's modules and last year's, but I have a hold that says unable to add class. Requests have not been met. Student must be studying on Bloemfontein campus, close quote. Last year, I was studying on the Bloemfontein campus and I'm on the extended program. Ms. Gugu, are we able to respond to that question?
That is the example I was talking about. So the prerequisites have not been met. So the previous year's modules first need to be registered. You can't register both last year and this year's modules. So again, please visit your faculty so that they can give you the exact codes that you may register for this year, and then they will assist you with your further registration. So what you're trying to do is register what we spoke about, your second year and your third year modules, or your first year and your second year modules. But there's a prerequisite that has not been met. So that is what is prohibiting you from registering.
Perfect. I hope that, Sihle, I hope that covers your question. So what do I do when a module I'm registered for doesn't appear on Blackboard?
It's a very interesting question. Remember, Blackboard modules sync after 24 hours. So in some instances, you're registered today at 3 o'clock. You need to check again after about 24 hours. But in some instances, the modules aren't yet activated on Blackboard and will only be activated on Monday. So I think the best thing to do is wait for Monday. And if Monday the modules per your proof of registration are still not appearing on your Blackboard, visit any of the computer labs on all 3 of our campuses. There are Blackboard help desk consultants sitting there, and they will gladly assist you to just add that module. But please do not go before 24 hours have lapsed of your registration. And in some instances, wait for Monday for the classes to start and that switch to be put on, because in some instances, some lecturers are putting finer details or final tunings to their modules, and that module will only be live for you to view from Monday when classes start. Thanks.
Makes perfect sense. So remember, after you've registered, allow for a 24-hour period to be able to view your modules. But should you have challenges, you are more than welcome to visit the Blackboard Help Desk on the Bloemfontein campus, I think on the South campus as well as on the Clark campus. Senzo has a question. Senzo says, I'm a third-year student, B.Ed student. I have failed ELLT 2504 and EALT 1508. When I register, they refuse to let me proceed with third-year modules. What should I do now? Because I want to take all my modules along with those I failed and third-year modules. So it's again the question of failed these modules, and it looks like it's a second-year module and a first-year module. Senzo wants to make sure that he clumps all those modules with these third-year modules. I know you've highlighted on this. Gugu, maybe do you want to expand a little bit with Senzo's situation?
Sure, Vodia. Senzo, firstly, I want to say don't do it. Don't try and clump everything. Remember, the academic literacy module, EALT, is a 32 credit bearing module. And credits translate into how many modules or how many credits you can take a year. So on average, a student should take about 132 to 164 credits maximum. You should not be exceeding 164 credits because then you're overloaded. So I think in this instance, for your case, they are looking at the number of credits that you're trying to look at, you're trying to register for, because you're trying to clump everything into one, but also most importantly, looking at the prerequisites. So the only thing you need to do is visit your program coordinator or faculty curriculum advisor, and they will be able to prioritize the modules that you should register for this year. And then in some instances, you might need to carry one of the English modules over into the new year, but the faculty will be able to help you manage which are the priorities and how long it would prolong your studies in the event that you need to not take some of the modules this year and only take them next year because of credit load and prerequisites.
Thank you, Gugu. I'm going to... I have switched off my microphone. Senzo, I hope that answers your question. And remember, should you still need more advice, do not hesitate to visit your faculty advisor. Otherwise, come speak to the central advising team here at the Center for Teaching and Learning. We do have a few hands. We've got Neo, Mokhadile, and Monde. Neo, your microphone has been activated. You're more than welcome to ask your question. Remember to unmute your microphone. Neo, please remember to unmute your microphone. Okay, while we're waiting for Neo, Monde, if you are ready, you can unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Good day. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear. You can go ahead, Monde.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you guys for this initiative. It's very informative. My question, well, yeah, it's a question basically, and I think I want advice. So, I got a. Also, this year is my final year. Yeah? I'm supposed to do my final year, but in that, in me doing my final year, my academic advisor told me that I'll have to come back again next year because there are some modules that I was supposed to have done that I did not do. So now my problem was that I thought that it's going to affect my funding because because I know NSFAS, when they fund you for the number of years that you are doing. Um, so then what I asked her to like come up with alternative ways. So what she suggested to me is that I can either come back next year and then finish next year, um, or she spoke about a higher credit load where I'll be doing, I think, about 10 modules. So I wanted to know, is it advisable for me to go for the higher credit load or come back? But also when I come back next year, won't that affect my funding? Because the number of years, I would have exceeded the number of years I'm allowed to study for my particular degree. Thank you.
Thank you, Monde. Gugu, you want to tackle that one?
I'll try. So Monde, I think it's best that you visit. I'm not sure. I didn't get which campus that you're on. If you could just visit one of the central advising offices. Remember, NSFAS does an N+1 funding, but we would need to make sure whether you've already gotten to your N+1 years before we determine whether it's advisable to take the 10 modules or not. And then when you sit with the central advisor, what they will do is put together for you a scheduler to look at the number of credits, because the number of credits translates into the number of hours you need to spend on your studies. So they can look at, if you take 10 modules, if it will tally up to 180 credits, how would that look in your schedule? Would it be a manageable load or not? And then make an informed decision where you weigh up your funding and where you are in terms of your funding status when it comes to NSFAS, but also taking into consideration whether the load would be manageable for you. So depending on which campus that you're on, please visit one of our central advising offices. For the South Campus, we are in the admin building. For the Bloemfontein campus, we are in the Sasol Library on level 3, and in the on the Godwa campus, we are in the Insika building, which is the admin building. So that you can just sit with us and we can just weigh that up, and you can just book an appointment with us and we will gladly take time to sit and weigh up the options, that you make an informed decision before the 24th, because fortunately you still have next week to make that decision whether to take the full 10 modules or to take a part of those modules. I hope that helps, and we look forward to welcoming you into our offices. Thanks.
Thank you, Gugu. Monde. Please heed the advice, and let's see what we do for you. Asenele, I was going to get to your question. I see on the chat, therefore I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak to us, and then we'll move to Nelisiwe. Asenele, if you're ready, if our team can just activate Asenele's microphone, and then Asenele, you can jump in with your question. Sanele, are you ready? You can unmute your microphone.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. What's your question?
What happened to me was I was doing my first year last year. I was doing EMS, a higher certificate, and then I only failed one module, which was HR. And then second semester, I failed psychology and general management. But I did not receive any exclusion letter or something. I saw that on my ADS when I kept on checking on Oracle. And then I went to Netball SRC. They advised me to send an email to the EMS faculty. And then I did. They sent me an email saying that I should send my information to them. And I did that, Susie. But now it's just that I'm scared that the registration is closing this Friday. I did not get any feedback from them.
Gugu, did you get the question?
Yeah. Remember, with the higher certificate, you can come back in the next year as an automatic repeater because you're given an extra year to repeat. So you can just come to the depending on which campus that you're on, you can just come to the registration venue. Can I check which campus were you studying on? Your higher certificate?
I was on South Campus.
All right, then you can just go to the Madiba Arena and just indicate that you are a repeater, and they will assist you to just register the modules that you need to repeat, and we then complete the registration for those modules, and you'll be done.
Okay. They also sent me an email yesterday saying that the email was from higher certificate registration advisor, and then, but when I read through it, it was about if I go to register, I should go with an evidence that REC did approve my appeal or something. That's why I was asking.
Okay, I will just take down your name. Can I get your name, please? Your full name and surname.
It's Asanele Malkas.
Asanele Malkas.
Yes.
Okay, I'll get onto it, and we'll get on to, we'll contact you.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Asanele. I hope you can see we are like Tibo Touch here. Like we call the minister right now to fix the pothole right now. So please go tell your friends, your friends' friends. And this is the only instance where it's advisable to advise your friends that Secure the Grant is exactly where you want to be this time. I want to maybe touch on that because I see Asanele also asked Pastor H that she had received outcome. She applied for appeal on the 13th, 21st rather. They replied on the 13th and they sent her a form to complete. Then she sent it back immediately. Now she's stressed about registration. Can you confirm, is this normal? Is this normally the process that there is a form that she must complete, and what happens in that instance?
Okay. For each and every appeal or review, whether you are at REG or you are with the URR team, we have forms that you have to fill. There is an appeals form for each faculty, and there is an appeals form or review form for the URR team. Usually how I do it is when a student sends, because the form gives a picture of the student, your name, surname, student number, the faculty you are in. Have you been excluded before? Now, this is not for the URRT. Have you been excluded before? How many credits have you accumulated so far? How many credits do you still need to complete your qualification so that they can have that background about you? So when students send an application to the URRT and that form is not attached, I always say the form to them to say, please complete this form. And then once they send the form, depending on how soon they send the form, if they send it, let's say for tomorrow at the URRT's meeting on the 16th, if you sent the form like last week, Friday, you couldn't be able to serve this week because already Friday, the applications were going through to be part of the agenda. Then it means that if you send it on Friday, your application will now serve on the 27th. So the student must just check if it was with the URRT, you probably sent it back before it was before there's still time for you to serve on the 16th. Otherwise, if you send it back, you will serve on the 27th. And then with the faculty, you must just follow up with the faculty directly on the email when you send the form, just to find out if they got the form and how far is the process. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We're going to move back to the other questions. Neliswa, I see you are next up. Remember, as you can see, our third poll has kicked in. Please make your selection. Do you know where to find the appeals office information? Yes, no, I think I have an idea. Indicate, make your selection, and submit. Neliswa, if you are ready, you may unmute your microphone. Try again.
Good day. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. What's your question?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I have an inquiry here. I'm a second year student, and my NSF status was provisionally funded, but recently I have received an SMS from financial aid that my funds NSFAS didn't allocate funds for me for 2023 due to academic eligibility criteria. So I'm asking myself, how do I appeal when there's no appeal button? And how do I go about this? Because my status still remains provisionally funded.
And who can answer that?
I can help you, Vodia. You just need to visit the financial aid colleagues. They are on all three our campuses in the registration venues. So they have the list of provisionally funded students, and they can help you look at your NSFAS portal and then advise what to do in terms of your appeal. So South Campus students, you can just go to the Madiba Arena. They are staff there for the financial aid office. For the Bloemfontein Central Campus, you can go to the Kalihiman Hall, and for the Kwakwa Campus, you can go to the Mandela Hall, and someone will be there from the Financial Aid Office. You can just tell them it's pertaining your NSFAS and you're a provisionally funded student, and you just need assistance with that, and they will gladly assist. Thanks.
Thank you, Gugu. Nelisia, are you covered?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Keketso, you next. You may ask your question. Keketso, remember to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. What's your question?
Okay, thank you very much. I am a final year student at Kwakwa campus in Bachelor of Education. I have applied for and I had sent an appeal regarding being a concession student this year. The appeal was approved by RAC, and then while I was sending my DV form, I sent a response from RAC as well. Now in ADS, the response appears on ADS that I was approved. But then when they were registering me, Willy 4700, it doesn't appear. I went to campus 3 times to try and inquire about that. They only saying I should send a DV form, but then till today, the module still doesn't appear. How do I deal with that?
Thank you for your question. So would I need to summarize for our... So looks like Keketso, you'll correct me, but this is the gist from what I'm getting from your question. You appealed to RAC. You are one of the concession students. Your appeal was approved. It does appear on your ADS that you have a positive outcome. And thereafter, you went with your RAC outcome to the registration venues on the Kwakwa campus. Unfortunately, then you were supposed to complete a DV form. So she attached a DV form with the RAC outcome for one of the modules that were not appearing on her registration catalog, if I can call it that way. Google is most probably going to roll her eyes at me that I do not know that language. So she did all the right processes. But right now, as she has checked, the module still does not appear on her proof of registration. So what must she do at this stage? Keketso, am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Stage, you want to grab it first from an appeals perspective? Then I'll pick it up from a registration perspective.
Not a problem. If your appeal is approved, definitely you are allowed to register. I just want to make sure the module that you're referring to, does it have a prerequisite that perhaps you failed?
Okay, so just unmute your microphone. I had muted it just for sound quality.
Okay, yes, it does has a prerequisite module of which I couldn't do it because I had failed a major. So
Okay.
yes, I was approved to do both practicals
Okay.
of third year and practicals of final year.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Then if it's in that case, then the faculty is the one that's supposed to help in terms of the modules popping up where they're supposed to pop up, and be able to register for the modules. Because if an appeal of whatever sort is approved, everything of the every system must be aligned with that approval, basically. So yeah, right, thank you.
If I may just add, votes, it is going to be a manual registration because, as you say, it's got a prerequisite implication on it. So if you've already sent your DV form, please don't resend it again. Just leave it with the faculty. I hope you've sent it to the program director and not just to EduInfo. So just double check where you've also sent it. Remember, sometimes students send to everybody and anybody except the person they need to send it to. So read very carefully where that form needs to go to, and then they will be the one that process your form. And if you find no joy, then I please encourage you then to come to campus. I know you say you've come to campus already 3 times, but it's important that you send it firstly to the right person and then allow for at least a day or 2 for the form to be processed. And like I said in the chat, registration, the adding or changing of modules only closes next week. So in some instances, you might still be doing this administration next week, and the faculties will also be tying up these loose ends in next week. So please don't panic. If it's a matter of just rectifying your registration, the system is still open, but please just double check you've sent the registration forms and all the relevant documentation to the right person. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Gugu. Keguso, is that you? Would you like to say something?
No, thank you very much. I understand.
All right. All the best with that last module. And I'm really rooting for you that you secure your grad. Neo, if you're ready for us, you may proceed. Now remember to unmute your microphone.
Hello, hi.
Hi, Neo.
You guys hear me? I had a problem with my laptop. I don't know what was happening.
We can hear you loud and clear now.
Okay. My questions are based on registration. Ever since last week, I'm in the nurse faculty, and they said that registrations are strictly online. But now it's been since the entire last week, I've been waiting to get registered, and I'm not yet registered. And I'm just wondering what will happen should registration close whilst I'm still not registered, whilst I took the time to make sure that I communicate with my faculty, my program directors often to find out what's happening. And also, I would like to know, according to the nurse rules, one cannot move into their 3rd year whilst they still have a first semester module. So since there are classes which are already full, if I can't register a module because the class is full, and then it's the module which I need, it's my first semester modules which I need to repeat, what's going to happen? Am I going to have to add another year, or how will I go about that whenever I have to go on to my 3rd year?
Thank you, Neo. I'm glad you asked that question because I was going to wrap up our conversation with Gugu with that question. Gugu, Neo, if I can just check which you in NAS, which campus are you on?
I was at the South campus last year. I have to move to the Bloemfontein campus this year.
Okay, that's clear enough. Gugu, you want to tackle this one?
Yes, please. So now, firstly, NAS was online up until last week, Friday. I don't know if you received communication. They are now in the HMS hall, which is just next to the main building. So you can drop in, and there's the program directors there and the staff that is registering students. So you can visit them. In terms of, and I love the question because we have had so many instances where students are saying it says program full, it says program full. There's a difference. The program might be full because you applied for it and there's not enough space for selection and admission. That, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. Then there's an instance where you are a repeater and need to repeat a module, and the module currently says it's full. For the repeaters, there is provision made for those students if the module cap has been reached, because legally we have to allow you to do that module. So again, if you just go to the HMS hall, they would be able to add that module for you, because it's a matter of you are a repeater, so they need to add that module manually for you. So I know you're probably worried that what's going to happen, but please visit the HMS hall and just indicate to them you've already consulted with your program director, you've already completed your registration documents, you just need assistance with processing your registration, and they'll be able to go into the system to check where you are and add the module that needs to be added, which is a prerequisite, and a module that you're repeating, and then process the rest of your registration. So fortunately for NAS students, there are face-to-face advising sessions and registration support taking place this week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have it, Neo?
Yes, because 2 days ago, I just received an email from my program director, Mr. Bodma, telling me that the registration teams are currently busy with my registrations, but then it was like 2 days ago, and the registrations are closing within a few days. So now I'm worried myself.
All right. I know you sound like a very proactive student, the type of student we want here at Secure the Grads. So continue practicing these good habits that yield to success. But remember what Pastor H also said, be patient, they will get to you. And just to summarize Gugu's comment as well, you may visit your faculty in the HMS hall. It's right opposite the main building. Molebogeng, if you are ready, you may ask your question. We're just going to activate your microphone. Molebogeng, you can ask, and then remember, as you can see, our colleagues are busy answering your questions in the chat. If it's still not answered, please pick up your hand. Let's get your voice through. Don't be afraid. Yet Secure the Grad, we shoot our shot. So raise your hand and we will take your question. Molebogeng, if you're ready for us, unmute your microphone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. What's your question?
Good day, and thank you. My question is that I firstly made an appeal to the REC, and then I was told to make a second appeal to the URRT on the 8th, of which I made an appeal on the 9th. And then I'm asking that I can see that registrations are going to be closing on the 17th. And on my ADS, there's an outstanding fee of 15,000, but there's also a provision made that says NSFAS will pay the outstanding fees up until 2022. So I'm assuming the 15,000 that is outstanding is from last year and it will be paid. So what I wanted to ask is, if my appeal comes back with a positive outcome, even though I have an outstanding balance, will I still be allowed to register? Not register. Will I still be allowed to make a payment of the registration fee and be allowed to register? Because I cannot access any academic records because I have an outstanding fee.
Okay, firstly, I want to maybe pass this on to Pastor H with the appeals. URT, I know, was in session about a week and a half ago. Can you maybe speak to that process? When should Molebogeng expect an outcome? And then we can pass the ball on to Gugu around those registration financial blocks.
Okay. Molebogeng, the URRT is sitting tomorrow on the 16th of February, and the applications for those that are supposed to serve tomorrow closed on the 31st of Jan. We pushed it through to at least the 8th or so of February to still take some few applications. So if you say that you sent it on the 9th, it might serve tomorrow, the 16th, or it might serve on the 27th. You must tell me, did you get a email acknowledging that we got your application and it will serve on which date? Did you get such an email?
No, I did not get an email.
Okay, so it means that it will be serving on the 27th of Feb, provided you have sent everything. We're gonna start going through the applications for the 27th of Feb in this week as well. I'm talking about 160 something applications that we must go through. And then if everything is missing, you will be notified before the end of this week. You will get notification that your application will be sent saving on the 27th, or if there's something that you need to send through. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Pastor H. So with that answer from Pastor H, Gugu, what happens to the student? Would they still be registered? Will Moleboheng still be able to register?
Yeah, but I would want to encourage Moleboheng to please sort out her finances right now, because once your URRT outcome is granted, then there is a special provision made for the students who sit on URRT to be considered as late registrations. So I think between now and next week, which is, almost a week and a half that you have, please visit the financial aid office to verify that indeed NSFAS will continue to fund you, and what arrangements you need to make regarding your finances, so that when your outcome is released after the 27th URRT sitting, you now have your financial clearance and you have your URRT, and then they can process your registration. But if you leave your finances and not sort it out and wait first for your URRT, we won't be able to assist you. You would unfortunately have the finances hindering your registration to be processed. So I think, I almost want to say it's a parallel process, but not really a parallel process, because you've already done the one phase, but the next important phase is to sort out your finances. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Moleboheng. If you missed our funding webinar, you can go to our YouTube channel. Just search for Secure the Grad, one word, Secure the Grad, and listen to important information from our colleagues at Standard Bank who do work with students who are awaiting their NSFAS funding. So there is an arrangement that they make. So you could provisionally get fees with them. And as soon as NSFAS provides your finances, they will square the credit that you have, or the debit rather, that you have picked up with Standard Bank. So please, for further information, please go watch that webinar, and you're more than welcome to go to the Standard Bank branch here on campus for further information. I hope all the best with that, and I hope you are successful with this quest. All right, so we have a few hands. Moleboheng, we're going to lower your hand. Nelly Siwe, you did have an opportunity. So I'm going to I think we did speak to Nelly Siwe. Nelly Siwe, let's hear your question. Otherwise, we move to Kabelo. Nelly Siwe, you can unmute your microphone if you're ready.
Hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Just a correction. The person that was speaking before was Nelly Swa. I'm Nelly Siwe, but that's okay.
All right.
No,
apologies.
I'm sorry. I have a question. So that I did, I was told that in order to be assisted with regards to registering those modules, I have to fill in on the request service management. When I was told that no, the only way that you can register failed modules is if you come on campus, which I cannot currently do at the moment because I'm in Gauteng. And registration is closing on Friday. I am nervous that classes are getting full, and I'm still not registered, and registration is closing on Friday. But like, had I known, I was trying to from the 3rd of February. So had I known that I had to come to campus, I would have came a long time ago. But now that to attend classes, I'm only going to be able to come on these dates.
Nelly, so we're struggling to hear you. Your network seems to be challenging and a bit choppy. Can I perhaps ask that you try move to a space where the network quality might improve? Alternatively, you can use our chat. We will definitely prioritize your question in the chat.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Let's try again, but it is slightly problematic, but let's try.
Yeah, I've moved. I'm saying that there are modules that I didn't pass last year, and I've been told that I had to fill in a service request management on the Oracle.
Okay, we've got that. So you failed
So-
modules. You have to complete the service management request on Oracle. What's your
Yes.
what's the third component of your question?
So I still haven't like I still haven't received a to that. Now I've been told that in order to I
Nelson, we're still struggling to hear you, but I think I've gotten pieces of what she's asking.
Yes.
If we're not touching on your question, please type in the chat. But this is what I could make up from Nelisue's question. So she has failed modules last year. She's been asked to use the service management request. To date, she's not received a response on the queries that she submitted. And she's also heard that she needs to be on campus in order to register. And it's a challenge for her because currently she's in Johannesburg and she is nervous seeing that registration is closing on Friday. That is the gist that I could pick up from some of the questions. Nelisa, I'm going to ask that you please use our chat function as we are struggling to hear you.
Okay.
I think, Vodes, if I can just start by saying, one, Nelisa, I didn't get what faculty you're in. So in some faculties, like the Faculty of the Humanities, they're strictly handling registration face to face, and they've said this from the onset. So I think, you know, part of our responsibility as students is to really read our communication and ensure that we make provisions. And I understand that maybe you missed it, but I think what's important is you check what medium of advising and registration the faculties have resolved to do, which they've communicated. So for instance, the Faculty of Natural and Agricultural Sciences, until last week Friday, were assisting students via multiple online channels and not face-to-face. And from this week, they're starting to assist students from face-to-face. The Faculty of Humanities have said it's strictly face-to-face, and this has been the message since the 3rd of January. So I think for you, it's important to get to campus if they're saying that is the only way you need to, you can be assisted. I know it has financial implications, but the reality is also classes start next week. And as I've indicated, you have until next week, Friday, to rectify your registration, but also you just need to ensure that you know exactly where you need to be at what point. So I think for me, if you can just in the chat indicate what faculty that you're in, so that I can give you the correct information of where you need to go and who to consult, and then we'll pick up your registration information accordingly. Thanks.
I'm sorry, can I speak because my chat function is not working?
Go for it.
It's the EMS faculty, and I've been able to register the rest of my modules, but the ones that I have to repeat, I haven't been able to register.
Which program in EMS?
It's Bachelor of Commerce.
In what specialization? Remember, there's businessmen.
No specialization.
So a BCom general.
Yes.
On which campus? Bloemfontein campus.
Campus.
Pardon?
Yes, the Bloemfontein campus, yes.
Okay, I'll drop in the chat. I hope you can see the chats. I'll drop in the chat who you can email directly. I'm not sure who you've been in contact with, but I'll drop in the chat who you can then liaise with, and they'll pick it up immediately.
Don't you have the email address? Like, can you just tell me? My chat function is not working. I don't know why. It's been loading.
I'll come back and we will read it out to you.
Thank you, Nelisiwe. Let us take Prince. Prince is our last hand, and then we'll try and see which questions we've not been able to cover. Prince? Oh, I see Kabelo is also there. Kabelo,
Yeah,
go
I
for
was
it.
next.
You can ask your question, Kabelo.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Kabelo, are you still there? Sounds like Kabelo is having connectivity issues. Kabelo, we're going to give you another opportunity. Let's try Prince for now while we wait for Kabelo to sort out his technical issues. Prince?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry
Go
about
for
that.
it, Kabelo.
Yeah, I was able to register everything except one module, and they said it's because it's full, and I don't know what to do now. They said I should come back before Friday or on Friday, to see if I can still register it. They told me to write it down, the code and everything, but I don't know. Like, does that mean if I'm not able to register that one module, I didn't fail it? That, like, I don't know what's wrong. They just said it's full or something like that, then I must come back.
Which
So I'm not
faculty
sure
are
what's
you in?
sorry,
Faculty?
EMS.
All right. Gugu, I see you smiling. Pastor H, is there something you know that we don't know?
Just to check, is it a module that forms part of your curriculum?
Yes, in what way though?
It's not an optional module. It's a compulsory module you have to do.
Yes, it's compulsory.
Right. So you will be assisted. So like I said, if it's a compulsory module, we obligated to enroll you for that module. So as they said, just note down the module code that needs to be added and do come back, because you still have till next week, Friday, to add that one module. It's a matter of just reviewing the module caps, because in some instances, there might have been more repeaters for that specific modules, and the repeaters have all registered, and we have to then accommodate all the first time entering students or students that are enrolling for that module for the first time. So provision will be made, and it's just a matter of increasing, the module cap for that. So please do keep that, and do then come back on Friday as indicated. You won't be late, but provision will be definitely made for you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kabelo. Prince?
Greetings, sir. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Greetings to you too. What's your question?
Last week I registered and I added all the modules I needed to enroll in. So when I checked my proof of registration, 2 modules were missing. So my question is similar to Gabelo's. It's just that my registration, they did not tell me that the module is full. So I don't know what to do right now. Only 2 modules are missing for second semester.
Which faculty and which program?
Law faculty in Bloemfontein.
All right.
Yes.
Did you register yourself, or did the faculty register you?
They gave me the instructions said they gave us the form, so I written all the modules and I sent it.
Okay, then if possible, if you can just come onto campus, just visit the faculty, and just indicate that these modules were not added, and it's modules that you need to take, and they'll definitely add them for you. If you can't come onto campus, you can email lawadvising at ufs.ac.za and just indicate that you are a registering student. These are the module codes you were given. Here attached is your proof of registration as you've received it, but you've noted that these two modules are missing. Can they please add them? They'll gladly add them. So it's either you come onto campus or you send an email to lawadvising@ufs.ac.za.
Okay, thank you, Kuku. I already sent the email to law advising, but no response. So I think the better option is for me to go to campus.
When did you send the email?
2 days back.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
give it to the end of today, and then because there is a 48 to 72 hour time period that we just need to give the faculties to process your registration. But if you feel that tomorrow it's not updated yet, then you can gladly come onto campus.
Okay, thank you very much. No problem.
Okie dokes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So looks like we have covered the majority of our questions. Some of the questions that we are not reading out, it's not because we don't like you or we think they're less important, but you are asking questions that have been covered, either from the audience members that have whose hands we've taken, and we are picking up a similar pattern. So from just the pattern that we're seeing is quite a number of issues around appeal outcomes that have not yet been communicated. As you heard from Pastor H, the URT there's a sitting tomorrow, and there is another sitting on the 27th of February. So please be patient. And I can only imagine with registration, with the dates that have been announced that registration is closing on the 17th of February, the anxiety, the stress levels are high, and many of us are just thinking, oh my goodness, will I be able to study? Will I be able to study? And that's why we have made sure that we bring the most relevant, the most freshest information here. I just want to summarize to our audience members, as you heard from Gugu, for those of you who need to finalize your registration, that process will still extend into next week. So those of you who have registered, like Kabelo, there's still 2 modules that haven't been registered. That process, you will be afforded the opportunity to finalize within next week. But as a proactive student, remember, if you've not yet sent any communication to your faculties, we are encouraging that you don't just sit back and wait, but you do find out from your faculties. But for those of you who've already done that and you've communicated to your faculty, do afford 48 to 72 hours in terms of response, turnaround time in terms of a response. And for those of you whose faculties are currently operating on your campuses, whether you're on the South, Bloemfontein, or Krotwa campus, do visit your faculties for that face-to-face contact. We want to make sure that we are students that are proactive with information, with advice, and we take the right step. Remember, as we said in our first webinar, it is important that you start right. Now, this was not part of the conversation, but I am picking up, Gugu, that the issues around credits and why the credits matter seems to be a reoccurring theme in today's webinar. There's a student who said to us, there's a possibility of me registering 10 modules. And that's a lot of credits. Can you maybe speak to our audience a little bit around the implications of packing those modules in? What do those credits translate into? And I want to say, did you not listen in the UFSS class when they spoke about credits? But guess what? If you've missed that part of the module, we are here to cover it for you. Google, can you maybe explain to us a little bit? These credits, what do they mean practically? What are the implications for me as a student? And why am I not advised to take more credits than possible?
Thanks, Evodia. I just want to circle back to I think it's Sanelisiwe who I promised to give the email address. I'll read it out. I did indicate it in the chat, but it is Ms. Sbongile Mlotya, and the email address is MLOTYAS ufs.ac.za. That is only queries for the BCom general qualification. I think it was only Sanelisiwe. Everyone else, I've been indicating the specific email addresses or links you need to follow. So please don't all email this email address, mlotyas@ufs.ac.za, is only for BCom General on the Bloemfontein Central Campus queries. So in terms of the credits, let me get on to the question that I was asked. I first want to say the number of modules may look huge. It may be 10 modules that you're packing, but it might translate to only 5 modules in the first semester and 5 modules in the second semester, which could be absolutely fine. But I start worrying if it's 10 modules for one semester, because then something is not right. So what credits mean and the number of modules mean, and looking at it, it translates to the number of hours you need to spend when you're studying on a specific module. So like I said, the EALH, EALT, EALE, EALL module is a 32 credit module. So that translates to 320 hours you need to spend on that module. So how we calculate that 310, the number of credits multiplied by 10 translates into the number of hours you need to spend on that one module. That is time preparing for class, that is time spent in class, and that is time completing assignments. And sometimes students need to spend extra hours. So that is the average number of hours you need to spend on a module. And why we encourage students to carefully evaluate the number of modules versus the credits that they enrolled for is because cumulatively those modules and credits add up to a huge number of notional hours. So if you have 3 16 credit modules and a 32 credit module, that is each of those credits multiplied by 10, so 16, 16, 16, so 160 plus 160 plus 160 plus 320 hours is the number of hours you need to spend on that, on all of your modules for the year. And that goes back to time management and you succeeding. So it's very important to sit down with, like I said, a central advisor to look at the number of credits that you have versus the number of modules and the number of hours that you have available against regulating yourself in order to be successful. I know it sounds like a math class. I know it sounds like an equation, but it's a really simple equation. Just take your proof of registration, multiply each of the modules credits by 10 to actually see how many hours you need to spend. And that gives you a starting point of how to plan your time and ensure that then you have sufficient time for each module and you're not focusing on a 16 credit module and you're not giving it 320 hours and the one module is being compromised. So time management is the key to securing your grad. And if you need support with that, all of the central advisors are available to help you break that down and sort it out accordingly. So don't just load yourself unnecessarily. Like I said, it may be 10 modules, but it's five per semester. But with minute it's 10 modules for one semester, then please knock on the door of the central advisor so that they can assist you, because then the time management schedule is going to be thrown upside down and securing that grad is going to be a challenge. So I hope that helps. But I think the essence is visit a central advisor and just say you're trying to translate your credits into your notional hours or the time you need to spend on your studies, or you just need time management support, and we'll know exactly where to start. And we'll even give you a template of how to break down that time into a week. And we will consider then the test times and the test dates that you have so that we can then balance those notional hours against everything. Thanks, Vodes.
Thank you, Gugu. So we have reached, I think this is the longest ever we've spent on the Q&A segment, over an hour that we've spent on our Q&A segment. And I think this is really, really what we wanted to do with this part 2 of this webinar. Just one last thing I want to cover for those of you who are doing your final year, or you in your so final year undergraduate students. If you've not heard about the EDED module, please, we want to encourage you to do register for that EDED module. Though many of you have registered for first and second semester already, they did indicate you do not have to register for both. you can only register for one. So either register for the first semester ED module, and that is, I just want to quickly go ED 371 to 371 or 3722. So you can either register for that. You don't have to register for both, either first semester or second semester. If you've registered for both, like Ms. Gugu said, you do still have an option between this week and next week to go cancel one of those ED modules. Remember, the module is free. You will not be charged for that module. For more information, please email the colleagues at the EDU. You'll see the posters are everywhere on campus. It's on the Kwakwa campus. It's on the Bloemfontein campus. Just want to look at the address here, eded@ufs.ac.za, if you're still not sure what to do. So with that being said, we have come to the last part and one of the funnest part of the webinar, and that is our giveaway. So for the team in the background, please, if you can announce our winners. While we're waiting for our winners, very important, you want to make sure you secure the grad. You want to make sure you get all the information that's important, such as these webinars, such as ED information, such as academic advising that we're going to be doing, as well as O-Day. So O-Day is coming up on the 17th of March. We're going to be presenting, we're going to have different services on the UFS campuses that will be sharing information. It is the launch of O-Day, so we only be doing the Bloemfontein campus for this year, but don't worry, we're going to be doing pop-ups on the South campus before the end of the first semester, as well as the Kwakwa campus. So we are coming to your campus soon. We are, however, starting on the Bloemfontein campus. We're going to be having career services, doing your interviews for you, helping you to do that interview, helping you to get that CV so that you can secure the bag. Also, LinkedIn Learning, we're going to help you activate your LinkedIn Learning account. We're going to help you with that LinkedIn profile that just says student. And then you invite us and we're thinking, who is the stalker? But we're also going to help you with many more things. But after that, when the sun sets, we're going to be jiving. We're going to be making sure that you build community and you also get a sense of what campus life is all about. It's not just stress. It's not just academics. It's not just about the finances, but it's you creating an atmosphere where you feel part of the institution. And that will translate into a concert in the evening. Do stay tuned on our social media platforms, as well. Check your emails from Secure the Grad for more information that we'll be sharing. We will be releasing our artist lineup. I don't want to spoil the surprise. I really don't want to spoil the surprise, but I just want to say, those of you, Amapiano, those of you who like, okay, that's me shutting it for now. Go and follow us on Instagram as well as on our channel. So if you have missed today's webinar or you want to re-listen to some of the critical information that is shared today, do go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, click the notification button. I get to say that. I don't have a YouTube page, but as a YouTuber, I always hear like, subscribe, click the notification bell, ring something, whatever you have to ring, but make sure that you do come onto our channel to get all this webinar, replay it. You don't want to miss out on that information. Remember also, Ms. Gugu has just put NB dates there. Very important dates. Classes start on the 20th. If you're still not on the campuses where you need to be, please make the means to get onto your campuses. The last day to add and change modules, 24 February, 31 March for masters and doctoral students. And then the last day to cancel modules with full credit is 31st of March. If you cancel your module after these dates, remember, you will be liable for the full tuition fee for that module. So finances are already tight. They're already a challenge for many of our students. Please make the right choice. If you're going to cancel a module, please do it before these dates so that you are not charged or liable for that tuition fee. Ladies and gents, I'm going to ask our colleagues to please make an announcement of our winners. Drum roll. Team, are we ready with the winners? I unfortunately cannot see on my screen, so I'm going to ask that one of my team members please read out the webinar winners for us. Let me see. Tembile M Monda B, Amelia, Lady Q, and Deslin. You are our winners. What must you do now that you are winners? Congratulations, firstly. Email securethegrad@ufs.ac.za. Name, surname, student number, as well as your telephone number is what you have to put in the email. You can just write webinar winner as a subject line and then tell us your name, surname, student number, contact details. One of our team members will be in contact with you within 24 hours. So, Renat was 72 hours. 24 hours, we are there. Roboti Watach, we call the ministers, head of advising, appeals right here, finances, we're bringing them. Ladies and gents, thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. Remember, here's a last reminder. Do tell us whether we are thumbs up or a thumbs down by completing our feedback evaluation on the link. The team will also be putting the link down there for you. Thank you, First Stage. I see a thumbs up from you. So I see many fingers up from Google. We are happy to bring this information. So do stay tuned. Remember, if you've lost your cell phone, or you've changed your number, or you've done something with your number and it's not the correct number on PeopleSoft Oracle, change it with immediate effect. Please go on, change that number. We want to make sure that you get all the right information. You don't want to miss on opportunities just because you have changed your number and have not updated. Second thing we want to highlight is do read your student email. Mine is 2006 06696@ufs.ac.za. That would be your student number at ufs.ac.za. Please go read your emails, empty your mailbox, start on a fresh mailbox so that you don't miss out on important information. If you get an email that says GPS from GPS@ufs.ac.za, open, open, open. Do not delete. Do not ignore. That is the email that we're going to be using to make sure that you get all the correct information. GPS@ufs.ac.za, as well as securethegrad@ufs.ac. Those two you don't want to miss. I'm not saying ignore everybody else, but those are your priorities for now. Ladies and gents, thank you for being an awesome audience. To our guest speakers, you are now part of the family, adopted as part of Secure the Grad. Thank you so much for really bringing us very important information, but also having honest conversations with our students. I think if there's anything I want to say is that definitely we do get a sense of care for our students from your officers and from our faculties. Ladies and gents, with 4 minutes to spare, this is a record for us. Enjoy, go rest, go register, get ready to start the year right on Monday, the 20th of February for myself, as well as the team in the background. Goodbye.